Welcome to How to Handle RMDs with Redtail Technology. My name is Haley Mandrup, and we will talk all about how to set up required minimum distributions within the CRM to make sure your clients take those. So right now we're on the Today screen. Before we jump into any particular features, I want to say that there are two methods for tracking RMDs within the system, and it really depends on how you're currently using Redtail. So if you're in the first group, you may have an active account feed from an aggregator or custodian into Redtail. So your accounts are already feeding into Redtail, your AUM is populated, and you're managing those accounts within Redtail so you can view their assets under management and report on those accounts within Redtail in addition to your aggregation system. If you're in this group and you are using that feature, then your accounts are reportable within Redtail. Now, a lot of the information about those accounts does not feed in through the integration. So the account type, if the account has a tax qualified type, that information may not feed in. It will require some cleanup within Redtail, and you can do that through our custom export feature. So first I want to go over the custom export feature for those of you in this group that do utilize the accounts so that you can edit the account information that's already feeding into Redtail since you have that AUM, and then you'll be able to add the account types, the tax qualified types, and have that information reportable within Redtail in order to help track those RMDs. So if you're not in group one, stick around we'll talk about those of you that are not feeding accounts into the CRM and how to handle RMDs without that account information within Redtail, because you can do it either way. It just depends on how you're managing the clients within Redtail. So first we'll dive into the custom export feature. And anytime we're building anything custom or anything that's going to affect our database on a database level, we're going to go to our name in the top right hand corner. So I'm going to click on my name and then go to manage your account. These are all those behind the scenes settings or the templates, and that's where we're headed, is a template for custom exports. Anytime you see the word export, Redtail is talking about an Excel file. It's something that you're exporting to Excel in order to work with the data further from Excel or view that information in Excel. So you may have templates here, you may not. To create a new one, go ahead and click New in the top right-hand corner. And then it's going to load this very large list of all the possible fields within Redtail that you are able to export from the contact records. So what this is not is a backup. You don't want to go in selecting all in all of these boxes because it's not intended to be able to export all of them. It's only for whatever data you're specifically looking for on this report. And right now we're working with account information, so I will name it account information cleanup. Now we do a lot of tutorials at Redtail about cleanup, and that's because maintaining clean data is just so important to increasing and maintaining the efficiency in your database. So we'll just focus a little bit on cleanup here at the beginning, but we will get to how to track those RMDs, but we're not able to track the RMDs if we can't find the RMDs. So first we want to enter that information in. So for the account information cleanup, I always want to get first name and last name for the contacts that I'm dealing with. And let's say I'll pull their status and category over here in the contact details. And then if we scroll down on the second half of the page, that's where all the account information is going to be. So we've got the account information, the account general information, and those are the two sections where we're going to be selecting items. So here we'll go ahead and select the account type. We could do the status, the product if we wanted to add that information, or the company, maybe the balance if we wanted to see that information as well, and the tax qualified type, of course. So once we've selected all of the fields that we want to enter or make sure are populated for accounts that are currently in the system, then I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom and save this template. Now here it lets you reorder the columns. Whenever you export to Excel, your columns are going from left to right. So from top to bottom, your columns will be listed left to right. I like last name first. That's a pretty popular choice to switch around last name and first name. Move the status in front of category, but everything else looks good here. I'll just move a couple more around. And that way, whenever you're creating these exports, you don't have to continuously reorder the columns in Excel. You can set the standard within Redtail in your custom export template. So I'm going to save that template, and now it's not in Excel just yet because we've only created the template that exports those selected fields. But now we need to tell Redtail what contacts we want to see that information for. So this is a two-part process. We've just completed the first step, and now we'll go into the contacts to export them to this Excel document so we can fill out their account types and tax qualified types. So we'll do that by going to contacts on the left-hand side, and then we can start with the advanced search and go to account, and we'll say status is open. And then I'll run a search for everyone that has an open account in this database. Or we can do contact status is equal to active client. That's going to give us a lot more clients to work with. So we'll do contact status is equal to active client, and then select all of those 58 records. Once they're all selected, we can export them to our custom export template. So I'll go to contact options here, custom exports, and then select our template that we've created. And that's going to be the account information cleanup. So if you only have one option here, that's because you only have one at custom export template, and the menu will just populate as you create more templates. We'll run that custom export. Now what's really cool is it's going to export all of the information that we've entered in or that's fed over through the account integration. But in addition to that, it's going to add another column, and that's going to be this ID column, and that is the account ID within Redtail. So we've assigned it an account ID number so that you can update the account tax qualified type or the account company, account product, account status, any of that information in here. And once you update it in Excel, you can contact our support team just by emailing support@redtailtechnology.com and let us know you have an updated Excel document, and we'll import those changes. So sometimes it's easier to make changes like this from Excel rather than going individually into the contact records and even more specifically individually into their accounts. So this is a great way to clean up information in bulk. And I do recommend only cleaning up 3 to 5 fields at a time because we recommend cleaning up in digestible chunks. So keep those sections of data small as you clean them up, but for RMDs, we're going to focus on the account tax qualified type and account type. And then we could also do the company and the product just while we're updating that information. Once we have it all filled out in Excel, let our support team know, we'll import those changes for you. If you're managing the accounts within Redtail and have them feeding in through an account aggregator. Once that information is all within Redtail, then you can search on those fields using the advanced search. So we're already here. We can search based on the account type. So we'll select account for the type of field we're searching for, and then the field specifically is account type. The operand is going to be equal to, and then we could select IRA and run that report. Now, as long as we have contacts that have an IRA account, we're going to get those contacts resulting here. So that is one way to manage your RMDs on the search page by having that information entered on their records. Now that we've got that information in here, let's check out some of the pre-built reports that Redtail has to help you manage those RMDs as well. So to access reports, we'll go to the reports on the left-hand side. And we're going to look specifically at account reports first. So it's already selected, and then we'll go to accounts by RMD. Now the Accounts by RMD report is a preset filter. So to see those filters, we can select filter over here on the right-hand side, and it's going to tell us what it's searching for. So these preset filters allow you to filter to 59.5 for their age, for the contact's age, and up, 65 and up, or 70.5 and up. What's different about this report than the search page is that this report searches for those half ages. That's a very important difference when we're searching for RMDs because the search only searches on whole ages currently. So we'll select 59.5 and up or 70.5 and up as our filter. Now you can filter to specific contact name if you wanted to here, but we're going to leave that blank since we want to get more results rather than less. And then you can even select certain tax qualified types as well. So if we had multiple tax qualified types here, I'm just going to leave all of them selected so we get more results again. And then you can choose to only show tax qualified accounts as well. So we'll apply those filters. It's going to limit our search to the accounts that have that tax qualified flag. That would be something that would be filled out on that spreadsheet that we had. So again, this is still for that first group I mentioned at the beginning. This is for those of you that have your accounts within Redtail and you're going to be adding this information into Redtail in order to make it searchable. Once we have those contacts or these accounts in the report, we can send those contacts to search in order to get a list of just the contact records, because you'll notice Henry Jones here has multiple accounts that are tax qualified. So he's duplicated on this list because he has 3 accounts that qualify for these filters. But if I send it to the search, it's going to limit it and we're only going to get Henry Jones once here. And that way we can work with the clients from here to help make sure they take their required minimum distributions or track whether or not they've taken them. The other report I'd like to point out is the Contacts by RMD report. So we'll go back to Reports on the left-hand side, Contact Reports, and then Contacts by RMD. Now this report's very similar to the Accounts by RMD report. If I choose the filters here, it's going to let us know the age. We've got the same filters for age, 59.5, 65, 70.5. But now we can also filter by contact status. So the other report might be bringing up a contact that has an inactive status, and we don't need them to show up because they're not our active client anymore. So this is a great way to filter to only your active clients. And then maybe if you want to focus on your AAA first rather than just all your active clients to begin with. Or if you're in a multi-advisor office as well, this report is going to allow you to parse out by servicing advisor. So keep in mind, if you've got multiple advisors and they're each wanting an RMD report, this is a great way to split that out on the report level. And once again, we can select to only show contacts with tax qualified accounts. Apply those filters, and we're going to get less results here because I've selected that box. Or we can select everything, and it'll give us a little bit more. All the reports are set up the same, so you can filter, export, run to PDF, or search, all from the reports page. And again, this is pulling in contacts with accounts that are tax qualified or they are around that age range that we're filtering. So now that we can find these people, how can we make sure that they've taken their RMDs or track whether or not they're taking their RMDs and all of that? And we'll talk about that in just a second. For that group 2, that second group of you that don't have the accounts within Redtail, there isn't a simpler way to track whether or not they have a tax qualified account or an inherited IRA or an IRA, and that's by using keywords. So if you don't have the accounts within Redtail, you don't have them feeding over from the custodian or account aggregator, or maybe you do, but the account cleanup is just not something that your firm can do right now, that's totally fine. Keywords are a great way to keep track of clients that need to have their RMDs tracked as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add a keyword to your database for inherited IRA. And while we're there, we're going to create a user-defined field taken for 2018. So we're going to add a couple fields to our database list to help manage, one, if they have an inherited IRA, and two, whether or not they've taken their RMD for 2018. To go to those lists, we're going to go to your name in the top right-hand corner and go to Manage Your Account. So we're going behind the scenes again. And this is an admin's only function. So if you're not an admin, you won't see this box down here. Another person in your database will have to add it for you. And that's good. That means that your database is restricting admin access and you're not getting the list cluttered up by everyone adding items to it. Admin, select Manage Database Lists, and then we're here on the Database List Management page. This is where you can add to many of the lists within Redtail in order to customize it and help track specifically what you want to see within the system. Under Contacts, we'll go to Keywords. Now this database already has inherited IRA down here at the very bottom, but if you didn't have inherited IRA, you can select Add and add that option at the front here, or at the top here. And that way it'll be an option for everyone in your database to select and tag clients with to make them searchable. Keywords are labels on contact records. We call them the answer yes to a question. So the question you're asking is, does the client have an inherited IRA? If the keyword inherited IRA is on their record, the answer is yes, they have it. Whereas if the keyword inherited IRA is not present, then they don't have one. The answer no is implied by them not having the keyword. So they are essentially labels. What's great is they can have as many keywords as they need on their record or as applied to them, and these are searchable. So you can search for everyone that is an hourly client that has an inherited IRA and is also an insurance client, and all of those variations. So you can search different levels with the keywords, and that's very useful in the system. While we're here on the Manage Database List page, we're also going to add a required minimum distribution user-defined field. And that's over here on the right-hand side under user-defined fields. Now, user-defined fields are a little bit more complex than keywords. These are fields where you get to define both the question and the answer. So for required minimum distribution, we would say the question is, was there RMD taken in 2016? And then you can set the answer to the different types available. So we could say any text if we wanted more of a description typed in here. But more often than not for RMD taken, we set it to yes or no. And that way when the year begins, when 2018 starts, or now that we're a little bit into it here, we can add RMD taken 2018 to all clients that need to take an RMD through the search page. And then we'd set it to no for everyone at the beginning of the year. That way, as they take it, we'll switch it to yes on their record, and it's always easy to see who has taken it for the year and who has to take it but has not yet taken it based on their answer to this question. So we've already got a 2018 and 2019 option here, and I'll go ahead and delete the 2018 so that we can add it together. So we're going to add a user-defined field for RMD taken 2018, and the field type is going to be yes or no. That way, again, we can set it to no for everyone at the beginning of the year and switch it to yes as they take it. Once that user-defined field is an option, it does not automatically go to every record in the system. These user-defined fields are only added if they apply to contact records. So now that it's available within Redtail, we can add it to a contact record if they have to take an RMD. But many of your clients don't have to take RMDs, so this field will not exist on their record unless you physically add it. So that's a benefit to user-defined fields. It's only if that question applies to that person. Now, since we have a keyword for inherited IRA within Redtail, we're going to use that search by going to Contacts, Advanced Search. Type is keyword, field is keyword, operand is equal to, and the value is inherited IRA. Now, this keyword would be something that you would either individually or in bulk add to the contacts that have an inherited IRA account, or you could search for them based on their age using either the report if you don't have the accounts in the system for contacts, or the account report if you have the accounts in the system. So these contacts that have inherited IRA, I'll run a search for them. Looks like we've got quite a few that have inherited IRAs, and I want to make sure that they're going to take their required minimum distributions for 2018. So what I'll do is I'll select them all, go to Contact Options, Bulk Actions, and then I'm going to assign a user-defined field to their records. And that user-defined field is going to be RMD taken 2018. Now, we don't want the value to be yes right away because they haven't all taken it yet. We're only at the end of March here. So instead, we'll select no. And then you can overwrite the value if one already exists. But since we know that the field is new, I don't need to select that. So we'll assign that user-defined field. And everyone's going to automatically have it set to no. That way, as I have my client reviews with these clients, or as I'm tracking them throughout the year, I can switch the value to yes and report on who has taken it and who has not taken it. And that's done through the user-defined field reports. User-defined fields are not searchable, but they are reportable. So what that means is I can't come in here and say who has an RMD user-defined field in the search page. But what we can do is go to Reports, UDF Reports, and then using the Contact User-Defined Fields, search for the field name using the filters. So I would say who has taken the RMD in 2018 contains no, since we know that no one has yes, we just added it, and apply that filter. So now we can see everyone, all of those 23 people that had the inherited IRA keyword now have the RMD taken 2018. Everything we've talked about so far is how to set this up for the very first time. If you're already tracking this, or if you're already adding keywords, you're going to want to add this to your onboarding process. If you have a workflow for onboarding, we have other videos on how to do workflows in the system. Or if you have a list of fields on how to, or on what information you want added when a client becomes a client or prospect becomes a client, this would be one of those fields that you want to make sure to add in their onboarding process. So all that we've talked about is how to set it up for the very first time and begin tracking it within Redtail. Make sure after you add it to everyone that's an existing client to add it also to your new onboarding process. That way it's going to be done individually for each new person, and you won't have to go back in bulk and do any bulk cleanup in the future. All right, so we've looked at account RMD reports, contact RMD reports. We've used keywords and user-defined fields within the system to track whether or not RMDs were taken by clients. And we looked at the search and all of these different features. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar on how to handle RMDs within the system. We appreciate you taking the time to learn more about Redtail. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to follow up with our support team at 800-206-5030. That's option 3 for support. Or email us at support@redtailtechnology.com. Thank you and have a great day.